UFC White House happened, and this card was absolutely insane. I'm going to run through the entire card, give my full card breakdown and recap of each fight and my predictions in this entire card. I did an instant reaction video already, but this is just my breakdown of what happened in each individual fight after having a little longer to think about it. And yeah, not so much just talking about the major parts with the main and co-main event, honestly. We started the card off with Diego Lopez versus Steve Garcia. Diego Lopez gets it done by round 2 knockout, and after a first round where Steve Garcia was landing a little bit better, doing a little bit better, Diego Lopez causes some chaos in the second round and TKOs him. Doesn't even have to use his grappling, just is able to KO him. He catches him when they're up close and is able to knock him out with a great combo, great hooks, and just looked great in that second round. This is the Diego when he's most dangerous, is when he's in that clinch, in that telephone booth, and he's just swinging hooks, short, uppercuts short, and he does it against Steve Garcia, knocks out Steve Garcia, drops him, gets on top, and hits him until he's unconscious. Slept him out. Great job by Diego Lopez, and amazing round 2 win. Said that he was ready to fight and step in as the short notice backup for the main event if he needed to, and that his hotel was very close. Absolutely amazing for Diego Lopez. I don't know what they do with him now since he's at featherweight. Maybe he'll move up to lightweight. He's been talking about it a little bit, talking about maybe fighting Charles Oliveira for the BMF. Especially with Gaethje winning, that could seem more possible if Gaethje has to fight Arman and Ilya has to fight the winner of Benoit versus Paddy. Charles is going to be kind of sitting out there. Max Holloway is already fighting Conor McGregor, which Conor McGregor somehow won more than a lot of other fighters on this card. I mean, he is in a good spot right now, but yeah. Charles Oliveira doesn't have an opponent. Diego Lopez versus Charles Oliveira at 155 for the BMF belt could be a banger, and that could lead to some pretty interesting fights for Diego Lopez because nobody wants to see him fight Volk for a third time. Nobody wants to see him wait for a possible rematch with Evloev if Evloev wins. So I think him moving up to lightweight would be the move. A lot of interesting fights there, and Diego Lopez versus Charles Oliveira for the BMF is a fun fight with some interesting grappling and some crazy striking. So, yeah, I think Diego Lopez might move up, but this was a great performance and starts the card off with an amazing finish in the first fight of the night. Then we move up to Bo Nickel versus Kyle Dawkins. Now, I had some parlays going for this card, and I had picked what were some of the most wild, unexpected knockouts that could happen early on in this card. And I had a parlay of Kyle Dawkins by knockout, Chandler by knockout, Derek Lewis by knockout. All three of those got wrong. But then I also had one of kind of my actual picks, and I had said that Bo Nickel was going to win this by decision. So Bo Nickel single-handedly destroyed all of my picks with just this one fight. And yeah, so Bo Nickel, though, goes out there, lands a couple good shots, and then takes down Kyle Dawkins with an amazing slam. Actually, do I have the picture? This is the Diego one. Oh, this picture, I don't know if you can see it, but go look it up. It's Diego standing on the edge of the cage in front of the White House lawn. This is picture of the year for MMA. This is an amazing shot of Diego Lopez just standing, arms open, in front of the White House. Go check it out. Absolutely spectacular picture from Diego. Then this is Bo Nickel's slam on Kyle Dawkins. Absolutely insane, and just picks him up, slams him down, sits on top of him, lands some decent shots, but not doing too much. Kyle Dawkins is kind of holding Bo down so that Bo can't really break away either. Oh, why am I so tired? But then the ref stands him up. Bo then eventually lands like a 3-piece combination that ends with a straight and puts down Kyle Dawkins. Then Kyle's kind of curl up in a ball, and Bo lands some crazy elbows and sleeps him. And that's it. That ended Bo Nickel's fight on the White House. Great win by him. Needs to step up in competition again because Kyle Dawkins is not cutting it. maybe Shara Bullet, maybe Ateba Gautier, maybe something like that. Somebody else that needs to step up. And yeah, Bo Nickel wins his UFC White House fight in a first round with a knockout. Then we move up to Mauricio Rufy versus Michael Chandler. Chandler's got to call it a career, man. Conor McGregor would have done despicable things to Michael Chandler. Yeah, Rufy just picks him apart. Chandler was looking good with his movement early on in the fight, but then Rufy just starts pushing Chandler back, landing jabs that are sending Chandler across the cage. Um, Uppercuts that are hurting him, little shots here that are like wobbling Chandler and sending him back. Landed 2 heel kicks that hurt Chandler each time, and the last one he hits him with the wheel kick, and that stumbles Chandler. Chandler goes down to his knees. Uppercut from Rufy, and the ref steps in. Just unfortunate for Michael Chandler. I mean, gets slept out on the White House, lands 3 total punches, shot in for some takedowns, and didn't get any of them. Rufy did great. Rufy won this fight, did what we expected him to do. I was expecting a flying knee, but he didn't even really try it because I think he was a little more worried about the takedown. Sorry, I'm recording this like a hour after my instant reactions video, so it's late or it's early. Um, and yeah, Mauricio Rufy just styles on Michael Chandler on the White House lawn. Sucks for Chandler. I mean, was scheduled to fight McGregor after front kicking Tony Ferguson. Was calling out McGregor. Gets the Ultimate Fighter with him, and then that fight gets canceled. He steps in against Charles, gets beat by Charles, then steps in against Patty, gets ran through by Patty, then waits over a year, and then gets demolished by Mauricio Rufy on the White House lawn. Chandler's got to call it a career. He's got to wrap it up. And yeah, that is it for Michael Chandler. Gets beaten out on the White House lawn. Another KO. It's this one that's in the first round, so we've had a round 2, round 1 KO. Nothing's made it even to the final round of the fight yet, and yeah, then we move up to Josh Hokett versus Derek Lewis. 105 shots to 8. Crazy. Derek Lewis, another one. He needs to wrap it up, man. I mean, he should. Josh Hokett was landing good shots whenever he wanted to on the feet. He was landing good kicks, throwing some heel kicks, but landed good body shots and kind of keeping it a little distant early on. Wow. Keeping it distant early on and hurting Lewis regularly. And then eventually shoots in for a takedown, gets it. Derek, this is the reason I think Derek needs to retire because yes, he's got the knockout power. If he can hit you, he can knock you out. But now it is a fact. If you shoot in on Derek Lewis, you're likely going to get the takedown. And if you get the takedown, he will not get up. He will not pose a threat on the ground. Derek used to have the ability to just get up from everything, but now he's at the age where he can't do that. He's not as quick as he used to be, where he could sit up and just power through it. Now he has to take his time to stand up. He needs to get on all fours and then push himself up. You can't do that anymore in this type of game, and Josh Hoka would just rip him back down the rest of the time in the rest of the first round and would then land some ground and pound shots. And yeah, Derek Lewis gets TKO'd by Josh Hoka in the second round because Josh Hoka was hitting him pretty hard, landing great shots, and then takes him down again and lands some good ground and pound, finishes out Derek Lewis. And it's just Derek cannot get up when he's on bottom anymore. He can't do it. Josh Hoka was just able to throw hard shots, throw lots of shots, overwhelm Derek, tires him out after one round of grappling, and just puts the pressure on him and is able to just run through Derek Lewis. This wasn't competitive. Derek wasn't even really close. He landed like one impressive shot of the entire fight. And Josh Hoka did go for an armbar at the end of the first round, by the way. He was like acting like, I can't tell if he was acting like he was trying really hard with it or if he actually was, and then like kind of laughed that he couldn't get it. But like it was not. He was in the position, and if he would have moved it a little bit, he would have been in an actual attempt for an armbar. But then he just proceeded to not move it, and so he was just yelling, doing nothing really with it. Um, but yeah, Derek Lewis gets ran through, lands 8 shots. Sorry, not three. 8 shots in 2 rounds versus 105 from Josh Hokett. Wrap it up, Derek. Both him and Chandler need to call it quits on their career. They can make plenty of money outside of this, but Derek cannot fight in a game where he has to worry about a ground because he's not that type of fighter. Um, Josh Hokett, though, one of the biggest winners of tonight because obviously he got this win on the White House lawn. Went viral for his post-fight press conference because he kind of broke his character. Kind of congratulated President Trump, congratulated the UFC, and then said, Pereira, I want to shama on your mama. Which that fight will probably be the next fight for both of these guys because interim champions got to unify with the undisputed. And then Pereira, if he stays at heavyweight, he's got to fight somebody in the high end of the rankings. Josh Hokett is the one. I think he can beat Josh Hokett, but still a tough fight, especially with Hokett's wrestling. So, gonna be an interesting one. I think though, Hokett versus Pereira, it's one that you could see he kind of was going after Pereira the whole week, and it worked for him. I think he was hedging bets on Pereira winning, but this still works for him. Now that he won, Pereira lost. He can get a shot with Pereira still, and yeah, I mean Josh Hokett, one of the biggest winners of the entire week. Then also after he says Pereira, I want to shama on your mama, he then says, and Michelle Obama is a man. Absolutely crazy. Says that on the White House lawn. Everything goes crazy. And then he goes, am I right, America? That is legitimately my favorite Josh Hokett bit is the am I right wherever he is. Am I right, New Jersey? Am I right, Miami? Like, I love that bit that he does because it does actually get me to laugh. But yeah, Josh Hokett runs through Derek Lewis. Sadly, Derek needs to call it a day or a career and just hang him up because Josh Hokett made it look too easy. There was no real resistance from Derek Lewis in that fight. Then we get to the feature fight, Sean O'Malley versus Amian Zahabi. Sean O'Malley is back in the knockout column. He knocks out Amian Zahabi in the second round, a little bit early of a stoppage, but it was going to end pretty soon after. I mean, Sean O'Malley, the first round, it's a close round. It's a competitive round. Sean's landed some pretty good shots around the guard every now and then, but nothing too crazy. I mean, it was a very low output round in the first one. 14 shots to 8 versus 27 to 24. But Sean lands 14 shots. Amian lands a couple, but no real punches. Amian barely threw any punches on this entire fight. Mainly was doing just like inside low kicks, and they were landing and they were doing somewhat good, but they weren't like too dangerous. They weren't crazy shots. And yeah, Amian just isn't able to really put any fear in O'Malley. O'Malley's able to then just kind of style on him, learn some of the rhythm of him, starts feigning a little bit more. Doesn't really use his kicks too often in this fight, which I think is a way for him to kind of test using his boxing more and not have to worry about getting taken down as much off of his kicks. But then, yeah, in the second round, he lands a right hand that drops Zahabi. Zahabi starts getting back up. He lands another like hook, I believe it was, and drops Zahabi again. And as Zahabi is being dropped, he drops him and then immediately salutes to the White House and to the troops as Zahabi is falling and hitting the ground. Then the ref steps in. I mean, it was 2 drops back to back, 2 massive, nasty shots where Zahabi hadn't been landing anything, hadn't been really throwing any shots. Otherwise, it would have just been an O'Malley. Boom, no, 1 or 2 shots landed, and that would have been it. Zahabi was kind of flailing around on the ground. So, yes, a little early, but I'm okay with it. I think it was just going to end the same way anyway. O'Malley was doing great and dropped him twice within the span of like 5 seconds. So, yeah, Sean O'Malley, knockout on the White House lawn, calls for Petr Yan or Merab Dvalishvili, the winner of that, but more for Petr Yan because I think he realizes that if Yan wins, then he can get that rematch. If Merab wins, he probably won't get the trilogy. Um, and yeah, Sean O'Malley knocks out Amy Zahabi on the White House lawn. Another round 2 knockout. Absolutely great, and you love to see it from Sean O'Malley. I forgot to put this picture up, but this is after he had been walking around the cage, just Zahabi kind of out of it on the ground. And yeah, great job by Sugar Sean O'Malley. Can't wait to see whatever he fights next. Hopefully it's not too long of a wait, and hopefully he can get Petr Yan maybe by the end of the year. But yeah, then we get Alex Pereira versus Ciryl Gane for the interim heavyweight title. I already talked about this in my instant reaction video, but this one sucks. This is not the worst feeling I've had for when Pereira lost the fight. I really was really sad when he lost to Magomed. That one was really rough. I wasn't a diehard fan of him when he fought Izzy the second time, so I wasn't like super sad when that happened. It makes me sad now when I see it, but I wasn't like devastated when Izzy got that. Because I started being a fan of him around the Yan fight and the Yuri fight. But I mean, Gane, I did not want to see Gane win this, and it makes it so much worse that all of the clips I'm seeing of it now are people just saying, wow, I did not realize how many back of the head shots there were that Ciryl Gane landed. So, Alex Pereira, first round, landing some low kicks, not really throwing too many punches. I don't think he threw his hook once the first round. Ciryl Gane landing some little good kicks here and there. They both threw some head kicks. Alex Pereira landed some decent head kicks that were kind of glancing on the arms. And then none of them was really landing anything. Ciryl Gane would land a couple jabs here or there, and maybe like a 1-2 every now and then, but nothing crazy. Not too much was landing. They weren't really throwing too much at each other. Then Alex Pereira lands a good 1-2 at the end of the round, like as the bell was being sounded. Best shots of the round by far, but still probably goes to Ciryl Gane. Just was a close round, but nothing too out of the ordinary. Ciryl was kind of feinting a takedown a couple times. And then second round comes in. Alex is doing okay, landing some decent little things here and there, landing some low kicks. But Ciryl is still also landing pretty good. Landing his 1-2 is a little bit better. And then Ciryl is kind of clinching and going in for some grappling now more and clinching with him. And then they separate from a clinch. They kind of push off of each other. And then as Alex goes in for to kind of try and get some damage off on him, his hands are too low. Ciryl pops a jab out, jabs him, sets Alex Pereira down, and as Alex Pereira is down, Gane jumps on him, starts wailing shots on him, hard shots. I don't know how Alex stayed awake. And then as he's going down, a couple of them land to the back of the head. Then Gane starts throwing some elbows. Most of them are to the side of the head, but then there's a lot that are to the back of the head, like clearly to the back of the head. And then they land and they're laying like on the ground, and Gane is just chucking elbows, and all of them are straight to the back of the neck. Then they start getting back up again. He keeps landing more to the back of the head. Then Alex gets back up. So he got dropped by Ciryl Gane, then gets elbowed into oblivion on the ground, and then into the back of the head, and then starts getting back up, gets back up, lands like a good shot, but Ciryl also landed a good shot in that exchange. They're pushing around with each other, and then Alex gets backed up to the fence. Ciryl lands this shot that we see that pushes him even further up against the fence, and then Alex gets caught with a 1 or a 2 down and gets wobbled, sat down against the fence, like he falls against the fence. Ref stops it. It was a good stoppage by the ref, but man, all those back of the head shots, really, Ciryl Gane? Like, you are a notorious cheater anyhow, and you just constantly make it worse for yourself. Because now this is looked at as, yeah, he did great, and it sucks that Pereira couldn't get it while moving up to heavyweight. But now this whole narrative is going to start to also be tainted by the fact that Cyril Gane just likes to cheat. He likes to cheat in his fights. He does it to Aspinall. He does it to Tuivasa, to Lewis, to Pereira now. I mean, it sucks that he constantly cheats in his fights. At least there's no eye pokes this time. But, I mean, it really stinks to see. And Cyril Gane winning was my worst case scenario on this card. Justin Gaethje winning, I was okay with that as a possibility just because it was absolutely crazy and it was fun. But Cyril Gane winning, nobody cares about Cyril Gane. Nobody is interested in Cyril Gane as a fighter and being a potential UFC undisputed champion. Nobody cares. And also one of the worst parts about this is that now all of the Jon Jones Glazers are just going to say, and people were saying that Alex could be the GOAT. Look, Jon Jones was a notorious drug cheat who skipped out for 3 years in order to make it to heavyweight. Alex Pereira did it in a couple months. Then Jon Jones knew who he was going to be fighting for the title against the heavyweight for months. Cyril Gane took it on like 5 or 6 weeks notice with an injury on his hand, and then gets submitted because obviously Cyril Gane's going to get submitted by a high-level grappler. Alex Pereira is not a grappler. He's not going to take down Cyril Gane and be able to just submit him like that. He's a kickboxer, and he got caught. He got bested in his debut at heavyweight outside at the White House. Alex Pereira will be back. I'm sure of it. I feel like they're going to do him versus Hokit, and I think he can beat Hokit. Hokit's a little bit smaller, not as tall. His wrestling is going to be a problem. His pressure is going to be a problem, but I think Pereira can deal with it, and I think Pereira can beat Hokit. Just going to be a tough fight, and yeah, I don't know where we go from here. It sucks he's not going to be in a title shot, and it sucks he's not going to be at greatness level right now, but he can climb back, I think, in 2 or 3 fights. And with Alex's star power, I think he can always run it back. It's going to be rough, and yeah. Cyril Gane knocks out Alex Pereira in the second round. Another second round knockout. Sucks to see, but Alex will be back. I'm still a diehard fan, and I'm never going to give up on that. And yeah, then we move to the main event. Ilia Topuria gets shut down and upset by Justin Gaethje. Ilia got embarrassed in this fight. He got beaten bad. The first round was close. Narrowly, I would give it to Justin just because Justin landed a couple harder jabs, landed a little bit more. Was doing pretty decent in moments in the first round, was landing some uppercuts, and did visibly cut Ilia in his eye, which you could see that kind of like did something to Ilia's confidence in that moment when he got cut, and then he was kind of getting caught with uppercuts at will. The uppercuts were the thing in the predictions video that I was talking about as you gotta watch out for these uppercuts. This is the worst possible part for Ilia, and he got caught with them. He got hit with some uppercuts that really stung him, and yeah, Ilia Topuria, he was getting caught by him. Second round, though, he comes back out. He's landing good. He's being more aggressive. He's on the front foot. He's landing hard on Justin Gaethje, hurting him. And this round was scored a 10-9, could have been a 10-8 for Ilia, in my opinion, just because I don't remember Justin really landing anything. Maybe he landed a couple jabs. But Ilia hurt Justin bad with a couple of overhand or straight rights to his chin. And then nearly finished him 2, maybe 3 times with body shots. I mean, he hurt him real bad with a couple. Justin got out of there. Hurt him with again a couple that stumbled Justin around, and then hurt him again and dropped him. Then gets on top, starts landing some good shots on him, landing from mount, passes right into full mount. But then goes for an armbar and doesn't get it. He misses. He doesn't move his leg all the way over Justin's face. He can't get it. Doesn't get to sink it in. Justin moves out of it. Then Ilia goes for a reverse triangle up on top. and can't do it either. He doesn't get it and falls out of it. Then lands up into side control and crucifix and kind of rides out the rest of the round, noticeably seeming tired. I think being outside for this did sap the gas tank of both of these guys, and Gaethje is going to win in a sloppy fight. That's how it is. Gaethje is better tired than Ilya is tired, and Ilya clean, I think, is better than Gaethje. I think at their freshest moments, I think Ilya is better, stronger, more technical. But when they're tired, Gaethje is better. Gaethje is better in those sloppy wars where everybody's tired and everybody's out of it, and he thrives in those moments when you can slip into a clinch. And then the third round comes, and Gaethje's landing hard. He's landing great shots. He's slipping in some head kicks here and there. He doesn't really throw too much. I think he threw one leg kick this entire fight, which was a thing we were all thinking would be a problem. Lands like one leg kick and then is landing great uppercuts, landing great jabs and 1-2s, and would throw a jab and then hook overhand a 1 or a 2 and clip Ilya on the nose with it, and it would push Ilya back, and Ilya's face was starting to swell up and bruise and bleed, and he was looking in really bad condition. I mean, was getting caught with certain things, with head kicks, and just not being able to really land too much. Looked like he was outpowered out there. And like Ilya, I think, hit harder when they were fully conditioned, but his cardio just sapped immediately after having to do ground game. And Justin was just able to be better in the moments where he was tired and sloppy. Gaethje is naturally in those moments. He gasses early in fights anyhow, and is able to be conditioned to fight when he's a little tired. And then, yeah, in the third and fourth round, Gaethje, it was one-way traffic. In between the third and the fourth, Doctor comes in because somebody had said that Ilya had probably mentioned to his team, I'm having trouble seeing out of my right eye. Doctor comes in, starts checking it out, does a test, declares that Ilya is not able to continue, and then Ilya says, no, I am good to continue. I can continue. I can still see. Another doctor is there, and Mark Goddard, the ref, and the other doctor kind of does a little test, is like, it's up to the ref, and then the first doctor does a test and is kind of like, it's iffy, and Mark Goddard says, okay, you know what? Nope, Ilya, protect yourself. Let's go out there, be careful. Make sure to defend yourself, or I'll have to call it off. And Ilya goes out there, is doing good in this fourth round, because he had a full 2 minutes to rest in between the rounds. And Ilya's doing good. He's landing a couple shots here and there, landing some to the body, but not great. Justin's still doing good. It's a close competitive round. And then there's some scrambles to, like, Gaethje trips and throws Ilya down on the ground, and then there's some scrambles. Ilya gets kind of sprawled out on when he goes for a takedown. And Gaethje is on top, and Gaethje lands some nasty shots from north to south. And then stands up towards the end of the round and drops his full body weight into a knee into the side of Ilia Topuria, and that noticeably hurt him. You could see his body like twitch and shift when that happened, and then Ilya gets up, goes to walk over to his stool. Gaethje stays on the ground for a pretty long amount of time because he was very, very tired too and very, very hurt. But Ilya tries to sit down, kind of misses his stool, and then as he's sitting there, it's hard for him to see, and apparently one of the cornermen calls off the fight. Not Ilya. Ilya said he still wanted to fight, I believe, and his brother Alexander Topuria said that they still wanted to fight. But I believe another cornerman called it off, and the fight was over. Justin Gaethje becomes the undisputed world champion. Ilia Topuria will not get a rematch, I would assume. He doesn't really deserve one because he wasn't a reigning champion. He was one that won it off of a vacant belt. So, yeah, I don't know what happens here. It sucks because we miss out on Ilia versus Islam, but Gaethje was the better man tonight, and this completely throws the whole division into whack. I would like to think that tomorrow I'll be able to make a full video about what this does for the division and maybe certain fighters on this card, who should they fight next, and kind of just go through the entire lightweight division as a whole. Because for me, as a fan of Charles Oliveira, Charles can be world champion again. Realistically, he can be. Arman Tsarukyan is probably going to get the next shot against Justin Gaethje, unless he does something stupid in between now and then they give it to Charles as a BMF versus undisputed title. And yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting fight and an interesting change to the whole division. Because now, what does Ilya do? Does he stay at 155? Because he is having real trouble at 145 making the weight. Ilya versus the winner of Benoit and Patty, maybe, or Gaethje versus Arman, and then maybe if Diego Lopez decides to move up, fight for the BMF belt while Gaethje and Arman fight, you do Diego versus Charles for the BMF, and it changes the division. Volk could come back up if he wins against Evloev whenever that fight happens, and nobody's gonna move up to welterweight. And if Ian Gary beats him, and then I saw that Conor McGregor tweeted out that it's great to be Conor McGregor right now because Holloway slept out Justin Gaethje within 2 years ago. In one of the biggest moments in the sport's history, Justin Gaethje got slept out by Max Holloway, the guy that Ilya had knocked out. And now McGregor is fighting that guy. If McGregor beats Holloway, McGregor has a chance to just say, I want to fight Justin Gaethje. I want to fight for the title. I can make 155. If he can make it to 155 and Gaethje has a chance to fight Conor McGregor, they'll skip Arman Tsarukyan for Conor McGregor. They can just say that Conor McGregor has a better, more recent win over Max Holloway than Arman Tsarukyan would. Or maybe they do Charles versus, or Conor versus Holloway, and then Arman versus Gaethje, and if Arman wins, then they do Oliveira. If Gaethje wins, then they do Conor McGregor, and it just changes the entire history and trajectory of the sport. Justin Gaethje at 37 years old, 38 years old, is top 3 in the pound-for-pound list now. Will be, should be. Ilya, now no longer undefeated. Ilya and Hamzat both lost their O back-to-back. They were both seen as people that would never lose their belts, and now they've lost both of their O's back-to-back in major upsets against an American fighter. Great job by Justin Gaethje. Proves everybody wrong, and I'm gonna warm up to this more as it happens. But I was just so focused on wanting to see Ilya versus Islam that I was kind of clouded in my happiness ability to be happy for Gaethje. But I like Gaethje, and I love Charles Oliveira. So if we can get a Charles versus Gaethje rematch, Charles wins that, then we get Charles as undisputed world champion once again. My biggest downfall of this entire card was Alex Pereira, but he will be back, most likely against Josh Hokett. I do think I will do a who should fight who next video tomorrow, but yeah. UFC Freedom 250, massive success, amazing card. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you thought about each of these fights, who you think should fight who next, and where do we go from here? Two of the biggest stars in the sport both lost tonight. And yeah, thank you for watching. Like, share, follow, subscribe, follow me on TikTok, and check out my instant reaction video. And yeah, thank you for watching. Send this to somebody else. I enjoy doing these videos, so I appreciate everybody's help and support, but I would like to kind of do more with this, and I want to be able to keep doing more with it. So thank you. Share it, like it, whatever you can do to help, hype it, whatever that is, if that's a feature. And yeah, have a good night. UFC Freedom 250. Can't believe it happened. Amazing event. The entire sport has changed from this day onwards. Can't wait to see where we go from here. TOPURIA Gaethje, finally over. Thank you, and good night.